Today I'm going to be doing a double die cut card front. This is actually a recreation of a card that I previously did and sent into Simon Says Stamp, so be sure to stick around to the end to see my original project and how it has changed. Hi everyone, I'm Mindy Eggen and welcome to my channel. I would love it if you subscribed, liked this video, and shared it with your friends. So some of the products that I'm going to be using today is the Dancing Floral Vines die set from Simon Says Stamp, the Old Letter background stamp, and the Little Banners Basics. I'm going to start out my card project by doing some ink blending. So I have some Hammermill Cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I have some Creamsicle ink from Concord and Ninth. What I want to do is go around all of the outer edges with the ink and my blending brush and have it so it fades off into the white of the cardstock towards the center. I am using a flat background blending brush to do my ink blending. One of the reasons I like using these flat blending brushes is because it has a really nice soft application of ink. So I do find different purposes for all of my blending brushes. And if I need to apply a little bit more color, I'm just going to pick up some more with the brush and the ink pad to darken those edges. Now I'm going to do my stamping. So I brought out my Misti tool and I'm going to remove the foam insert because the Old Letter background stamp is a red rubber stamp. I have used this numerous times in videos. I absolutely love the look and the feel of this stamp set. Plus, it is red rubber, so it's going to give me some really great impressions. I'm placing this down in the bottom of my Misti and I'm going to try and make sure that the script is lined up straight. Then I'll pick that up with the door of the Misti and I'm going to bring in my background and put a little bit of repositionable tape on the back. And then I'm going to place this over that background stamp so I can kind of see where my cardstock is going to be. Now there are some areas of the stamp that's not going to have anything and I'm fine with that. I don't need the whole background completely covered. So I flip my Misti over to secure my cardstock down in the bottom of the Misti, and then I'm going to ink up this background stamp with Creamsicle ink. This is going to give me a really nice tone-on-tone look. So if you're looking to do kind of a subtle background to something, going tone-on-tone is a great way to do that. And I did not press down completely over the entire image. I like the scattered look of my stamped image. I brought my ink pad back out and my blending brush, and I'm going to go around those edges just one more time. I gave this kind of ink time to settle, so I just want to darken those a little bit. When I was originally ink blending, there must have been something wet on my work surface, which is why you see that dark spot up in the top corner. I'm okay with that because I'm going to splatter my background anyway. So if you don't like splatters, close your eyes right now because I love splatter and I will never stop doing splatter. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. Just want to say that. So I am taking some, I think this is the white gouache, I think is what it's called. I've had it forever. I don't use it very often. So I'm trying to go through some of my supplies that I don't pull out very often. And that white gouache was one of them, which I just added a little bit of water to and splattered that on. And then I'm bringing out some Distress Spray Stain in Black Soot and adding that as well. And then I'm going to take this and just set it off on the side to dry. I'm going to start working on my die cutting. This is the Dancing Floral Vine from Simon Says Stamp. There are 2 dies in this set. The first die is going to create kind of the background layer, which is our vines, and then the other layer has all of our leaves and flowers that we can add individually. I'm going to trim out various colors of cardstock. For my background, I'm going to be using, I believe this was the Artichoke from Concord and Ninth. It was the darker shade. I have 2 different green shades that I use, Artichoke and Avocado. This is the darker color. So I'm just trimming these out to fit my die cut. And then I'm going to bring in my Spellbinders Platinum Scout mini die cut machine. It is absolutely just like your Platinum 6 if you have a Platinum 6, just in a smaller compact version. The plate system is also pretty much the same. You have your platform and your couple die cutting plates. So I'm just using the handbook as a reference on how to set up my sandwich. And I'm going to die cut out this background die first. When I'm die cutting it, I am going to run it through and then kind of bring it back because I really want to make sure all the pieces pretty much kind of fall out. It die cuts beautifully just running it through on one pass, but I just like doing it this way, and it was just kind of felt more convenient for me the way I was sitting at my desk. So totally personal preference. You don't need to run it through twice like I did. I'm going to die cut that background vine 4 times because I want to add dimension. This is going to create my card front. I'm going to have 2 vines to fill up my entire card front. Then I'm going to be using that other plate to do the flowers and also the extra leaves. So I am going to be die cutting this out of Wildberry Cardstock and also Watermelon Cardstock. These are also both from Concord and Ninth, just trimming off what I need from each. While I have my scout out, I'm going to go ahead and do my sentiment as well. So this is off of the Bitty Banners Basics die set. There are 3 sentiments on here and then also a banner to put behind it. So kind of your base layer for the banner. I'm going to start by doing the sentiment out of black cardstock and I'm going to die cut it about 3 times. And then for the bottom layer or the shadow layer, I'm going to be die cutting that out of white cardstock. Now when I'm doing that, I love how everything was kind of in place when it was in the banner. But if anything falls out, if you want to have a complete look, you want to make sure you're saving the inner pieces of the O for the word hello, if that's what you choose. You'll see why here in just a moment. These are the 3 layers that I created with the black cardstock and the word hello, and I'm layering those together using my Connect glue that I have in a fine tip bottle. Then I'm going to take this and add it to that white piece that I die cut. And I love adding those multiple layers to the banner because you're going to see in a moment the dimension that it created. Now here is where I was talking about the O's. It is that little piece that goes in the center of the O if you choose the word hello for your sentiment. And I'm once again kind of adding those, but this time using my tweezers. You can use a kind of pick and stick tool to do that. And then I just clean up the inside, any little paper hairs. I just scrape them away with my tweezers. Now I'm going to work on putting my floral vine together. So I'm going to layer 2 pieces of cardstock together, again, using that liquid glue to put on the back of my leaves, just kind of using little dots of glue to attach it. And I love using the liquid glue for this. You could maybe have die cut this from some maybe double-sided adhesive sheets on your cardstock, but I love the liquid glue because I can sit and squeeze the pieces together to make sure that they are aligned, they are lining up perfectly. I'm working on a media mat. It's just kind of one of those silicone mats from Tim Holtz. That's just catching any of my excess glue that might be popping off. I almost always use some sort of silicone mat when I'm doing pieces like this and liquid glue. So off screen when I was doing my die cutting, I also die cut out that kind of smaller plate with all the leaves and the flowers out of Avocado Cardstock, which is a lighter green. Right now, I'm just placing them over all of the leaves. I wanted to make sure, for one, that I had enough leaves, and 2, I wanted to make sure I placed them on the correct spot because the leaves are going in different directions. Now you can see I have both of my floral vines right now going in the same direction. I'm just doing it that way for right now for kind of ease of gluing it together. And then I can start bringing in my flowers. So I started out by separating the flowers by color and then also by the size. I started out with the bigger flowers, doing them so they are symmetrical to each other. So I have the kind of wild berry flowers in the same spot on each one and then the watermelon. But as I go along and I start doing these smaller ones, I try to just kind of flip where they're going to be because when I start putting my card front together, I am going to be turning one of these, so it's going to go in the opposite direction. Now, this would be really pretty in a rainbow of colors. I mean, it just would be gorgeous in any of them, in any of the colors. This happens to be one of my favorite color schemes right now. I have a side folding card base and I'm just taking tape runner and I'm adding it to the back of my ink blended panel. And then I'm going to place it on that side folding card base. I always kind of start down in the bottom left-hand corner to make sure everything lines up perfectly. And you can see how that blemish at the top there that I had mentioned earlier where something must have been wet on my desk just kind of fits in with the whole background. And then I'm going to take both of those floral vines. Now, of course, this card front would look great with just one of them, but I thought this was really neat to do one on the top and one on the bottom, just facing the other direction. And this isn't the only type of die that you could do this for. Look through your die stash and see if you have a wafer die that's similar to this, where all you need to do is flip it to create an entire card front panel. So I am adding the liquid glue to the back of each of those and then just using my tweezers to kind of place that onto the card front, making sure that my centers are meeting because my sentiment is going to go in the center there to kind of hide that connection. There is a piece on that flower die set from the Dancing Floral Vines where you could die cut out centers for your flowers, but I thought this was a perfect opportunity to grab my embellishments and use those for the center of the flowers. So I have my gold glitter drops from Pink Fresh Studio, and I'm using some liquid glue and my pick and stick tool to add those. Normally with embellishments, I will place them on my card front first and then come in and attach them. But in this case, there's a lot. So I'm just jumping right in and placing those down right away. I also realized through this process that I need to seriously clean my tools because I noticed before that my brand new Tim Holtz recoil scissors are a little sticky. I used them for cutting foam strips, so they have some stick to them. And I also noticed that the pointy end of my pick and stick tool was a little gunked up as well. So I need to seriously clean my tools. So for the sentiment, there is a bit of an overlap here and there, obviously, with the die cuts underneath. I didn't feel like fussing to line up foam tape in between the die cut pieces. So I just trimmed down some thin foam tape and adding it across or on the back of the entire panel of my sentiment, and then placing that right in the center. And that is going to finish off the card front. So I really loved taking this die and creating an entire card front with it. You could do this just on a plain piece of cardstock too. You don't have to add the ink blending. You don't have to add the stamping. That's just something fun and additional that I like to do. Once again, here is a closer look at that completed card that I just did in the video. And then here is my original card that I did. So I was recreating a card that I sent in for Simon Says Stamp. But you can see in this original card project, I used the lighter color of cardstock for the background of the vines and then darker color for the leaves. And I believe that base piece was made out of lemongrass or could have been grasshopper. I think it was grasshopper. But you can see how it kind of changes the feel of the card by switching out the different shades of cardstock. I hope you enjoyed today's project and inspiration. I'm going to have all of my supplies listed down below in the video description and over on my blog as well. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon.